Florida Governor Ron DeSantis set to officially announce that he's running for president. Not a surprise. The way he's doing it is intriguing, though, has worked well to bait the media. He's not going to do it in any of the traditional settings. He's not going to do it with people. He's going to do it on Twitter, talking to the CEO, Elon Musk. It's going to happen tomorrow on Twitter Spaces, the site's platform for live audio chats. The alignment with Twitter and Musk should raise eyebrows. This is what DeSantis wants you to think he's about. Now, how does that play? Let's bring in former acting White House chief of staff under Donald Trump as president, NewsNation political and economic contributor, Mr. Mick Mulvaney. What's your take, Mick?
Yeah, Chris, I've been chewing on this one all afternoon since I heard about it for the first time. And I got to tell you, I kind of like it. Yeah, Musk is an outrageous character with a lot of scandalous, controversial statements. But I mean, this is the 21st century in the United States of America. No one's going to be more scandalous and outrageous than Donald Trump. So maybe it gets lost in the wash. On the positive side of the ledger, Elon's got like 140 million followers, which is just an absolutely huge number. There's ancillary benefits to that. You mentioned in the opening that ordinarily people don't get coverage for talking about getting ready to announce. They get coverage for announcing. But here we are talking about him 2 days or 24 hours before it happens. He's kicked Tim Scott off of the news cycle after Tim announced last night. And then the biggest one that finally put it in the yes column for me is this. Exactly what you said. Twitter is not the real world, but neither is the primary voting world. The folks who vote in primaries are the extremes of both parties. That's one of the difficulties we have as a nation. So the folks who vote in Republican primaries may well be the target audience for this when he makes the announcement. So I got to tell you, I think it might be genius.
Look, it certainly worked in terms of having all the cables getting bubbly about it because we love the shiny object. So I give it to him. I also think that this is an obvious indication of what he wants his race to be about and not just in the primary. My concern, and you're absolutely right, by the way, and primary voters are not going to be the Republicans who I hear from most often who are saying, man, anybody just sane, anybody who gets me back to where I wanted to be as a party, who doesn't embarrass me when their name comes out of my mouth. And he is not playing to those voters. It does seem like he's trying to out-Trump Trump, and I just don't know who's telling him he can beat the former president in a primary this way.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I like that play too. Listen, it's the only play he's got. Tim Scott is going down a different alley, right? Tim Scott is not talking about Donald Trump. Tim Scott's just very existence is sort of different than Donald Trump. Everything about Tim Scott is different than Donald Trump. I was at Tim's rally yesterday when he announced his kickoff. That's not open to DeSantis. DeSantis has to take on Trump head to head and say, look, I'm just as much as a fighter. I'm just as tough as he is, but I don't have the baggage. I don't pay off porn stars hush money. That's what he has to do. I think that's his lane. If he's going to beat Donald Trump, it's got to be head to head. Tim Scott has a different lane, but you got to know who you are in the race. And I think DeSantis knows who he is.
Well, look, it's who he's choosing to be. Right? Because he could present different ways. And I just think there's such a craving in this country, no matter which team you're forced to sign up with. And you know how I feel about the teams. I think everybody should be independent. I just feel like people are desperate for better and a sweetness of strength. And he's not offering that, but we'll see. But now let's also peel back this idea of this choice and who he's getting in bed with and what that means. That's why we asked to have the host of the podcast on with Kara Swisher. Kara's on with us today. Thank you for jumping into the chair. Appreciate it, my friend.
No problem.
So what is your take on DeSantis's decision, not just platforming with Twitter, but having a conversation with Elon Musk, making him kind of a kingmaker?
I suppose. I mean, it's a stunt. It's an interesting stunt, and who knows if it'll work or not. I mean, it's further along, sort of cutting out cable news and cutting out where it would naturally go, where they would do the interview and everything else. Obviously, he's not a journalist, and he's enjoying playing, the internet supervillain this particular year. So it's interesting for him, and it's sort of his counter thing. And for DeSantis, he wants to differentiate himself. And so in that regard, it's it's a perfectly fine stunt. And for Elon, it makes it seem as if he's a media mogul and that Twitter is the place for media. And that's not a bad idea to try to do that. I don't suspect it's going to be a very interesting discussion, but it might be. You never know where he's coming from. He asks all kinds of sidewinder questions. And so, and it's good for DeSantis in that he makes this thing that he doesn't talk to the media. Well, one of the reasons is he's bad with the media. He's thin-skinned. He's somewhat giggly in times, and so he wouldn't do well with regular media. In the case of Elon, he'll do just fine. So it puts him in a safe zone for himself, and that's probably a better place for him to be. And it makes it seem like he's different.
What's the negative for you, Kara?
Oh, it looks like a rich guy buying a candidate.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.